Honestly, I just want to put this camera to use. I got this camera kind of like on a whim one night. It was kind of an impulsive buy. I just knew that I had my yoga teacher training coming up, which will be in India in less than 3 months. And I was like, I want to record my time in India. But I was like, you know, maybe you can film some stuff in between. I honestly, I've played with this camera a little bit, haven't given it much more than that. So right now I'm feeling pretty emotional and probably not the best state of being to be making a video from, but I kind of just need to like offload some things because I'm a verbal processor. I just need to get it out with words. I think like with YouTube, I made my first YouTube video back in like 2010 on a page called Beauty by Hill. Or was it Hilly 8705 back then? No, I think it was Beauty by Hill back then too. Yeah, anyway. I made my first video like 15 years ago and I had no idea what I was doing, but I've always been an expressive type of person who just felt comfortable sharing in front of a camera. I don't know, something about it just feels safe, even though ultimately people are gonna watch it. I think back then it was also different because I don't think people were as ruthless back then. People now these days are very hypercritical. There's very little space for nuance and the minute details that like maybe you missed or maybe you didn't share. People don't leave a lot of room for those things. It's very black and white. It's a society of one or the other. Like you only got two options, you know what I mean? So, and I just don't live my life that way. There's, a range of options. And so anyway, I hadn't felt safe enough to really express myself online in a really, really long time, especially after going through the end of a marriage and just like an identity crisis and just like trying to figure out who the fuck I am again. After that, so all of that context to bring us to the present moment right now that I have this fucking camera, and I probably shouldn't cuss as much because I just don't want, like, if eventually, let me be free. Forget it. I'm just like, if I eventually want to be monetized, you probably need to limit your cussing, but I kind of just don't want to even focus on that right now because that is the other part that just talks me out of expressing and making content for YouTube is when I feel like, oh, I have to be so like this or that and the editing and everything that goes into it. And like right now, when it comes to this video, it's probably going to be my first upload and I'm probably not going to edit this video very much. I just don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. I kind of just want to exist and I just want to pop out and boom, there we go. Like video diary, boom. Like let's go back to the old school way of just like showing up online and not having to like over curate everything. So I'm in this space right now because I was just in my beautiful apartment in New Orleans, Louisiana. And I've been here for almost a year now, and I've been loving my time here. It's just been such a beautiful space. It's been so warm and inviting, and just like there's been many experiences here. It's they say New Orleans is like as close as you'll get to living in the islands as, you'll get to experience in the States because of not only the climate, but just the vibe and the people here, like the energy here. It's a very like go at your own flow, your own pace type of lifestyle. And they are also a people of, they just believe in having a great fucking time. Like, this is not the place you come because you're like, oh, it's time for me to get my business together and da da da. Maybe depending on what your business is in, but this is not the place you come and you're like, oh, I have these big 9 to 5 dreams. Like, no. This is the place you come. I mean, it could be for multiple things, but like, this is a slower paced, if it's not Mardi Gras season, life is about enjoying type of mood and experience. And so it's exactly the type of energy that I've needed after my last, year and a half, 2 years of living on the West Coast. So it gave me everything I needed. I'm not necessarily done with it just yet, but I am done with this apartment. And that is what's making me so sad because I've only been in here for almost a year. And when I got in here and fell in love with it, and just like over the last almost year of just like experiencing my life here and creating a life for myself, I was like, I'm sad. I'm sad. I will be here in New Orleans for the next X amount of years. I'm not leaving again until it's time for me to leave the country, or New York. Those are the only places that I can really see myself like going off to. There's not really anywhere in the States that I'm like, oh, I'm just dying to live here, except for New York. But there's no other place that really makes sense for me out of the country is like the other option. So I was like, New Orleans is it. I'm going to be sad. I'm going to stay in my apartment for like 3 to 4 years, stack up. And maybe by the end of that, I'll be ready to buy a home. And that's been where I've been at, right? That's been like, okay, this is the motion. This is where we're flowing, right? When I was in Phoenix, I was like, oh, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. And then I kind of went back to California after my lease was up, stayed there for about 6 months, and I was looking for apartments there, trying to figure that out. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm not really feeling it. I'm not really feeling Southern California. I grew up there, not really feeling it. It's really just really expensive. But besides that, I really don't think I would want to be there anyway. It just really depends. Like, it really, really depends with LA. Like, so I was like, I want to be somewhere that feels rich, full of culture, and just like, I landed here. I was like, oh, this is home. This is home. And I remember feeling that feeling the first time I came here, and just feeling like, oh, this is home. I don't know why or who or what done called me here, but it feels like I feel like I've been called. So I moved here, and it's treating me well. There's been some definite hiccups and like things along the way that have not been so great, but kind of losing my train of thought. I think the point that I was getting to was that, oh yes, so where I've been kind of mentally is like, this is where I will be. This is where I will be for the unforeseeable future, because until I'm ready to leave the country, like, this is where I'm going to be. When I first moved in here, I didn't have an issue with any insects for the first like 3 months. So I asked the leasing manager who got me in here, what's it like? What's it like with bugs and things like that? And he was like, oh, no, it's fine. Like, nobody ever really complains unless it's like summertime, da-da-da-da. Like, and I'm like, okay, we'll see how it goes, right? And so I get in here, first couple months, completely fine. Like, didn't have an issue. Didn't see shit. And I was just like, oh, this is what I did see. This is what I did see that should have been the, hello, it's something here. Okay, it's something here. I would find the tiniest little micro, this is when I first moved in, and honestly, ever since I moved in and cleaned them, I haven't seen it since. I have not seen them since. And that's also why I was like, well, whatever was in here, like, I don't know, like, as long as it wasn't like a rodent and a mice or, things like that, which found out it wasn't. But I would find these micro little things, and then I would just clean them. I cleaned them off like that first me moving in here, and I hadn't seen them since. But I still didn't know what it was, because I was like, I don't see anything alive in here, And then I seen my first bug one night when I went into the kitchen, and it was this massive fucking roach on my kitchen sink. And I was just like I'm being taken back to that moment, and just like the shivers of like, oh, I cannot. And that was when I first was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And the person I was dating at the time, I told him what happened, and he got me all this stuff to like take care of it. And honestly, like, I don't know if I just didn't use the stuff right, but like, I used a little bit of it. I don't think it got nothing on these New Orleans bugs, okay? I don't think it got nothing on these New Orleans bugs. So maybe a couple weeks later, again, I killed that one. I was able to spray that one down with some bleach, and I was like, killed it. So then the next one I seen, again, was in my kitchen. And this time, it was on the wall. It was on the wall by the window. And again, just another moment of like, this cannot be life. This cannot be life. And, took care of that. I'm in and out of my apartment. So I work as a flight attendant. So there's times where I'm gone. There's times where I come back and I'm here, blah, blah, blah. So I come back. I don't know how much time has gone by. But over the course of me being here for almost a year, I can count on one hand how many times I've seen them. And today was my final straw. So I told you about the first 2 times. The third time was finding a dead one. Actually 6, because I found 2 dead ones. I've found 2 dead ones since I've been here in my living room. I found 2 dead ones before, 2 different occasions. And then the one that freaked me out the most, because the first 2 had been in the kitchen, I thought, okay, well, if they just stay in the kitchen, I can make this work. Like, how about we have a deal, right? Because I have a door that separates the little foyer part of my apartment. There's like 2 doors that separate the foyer. And then there's a door that separates the kitchen from the living room. So like there's some separation, right? But you know what? Doors don't really mean a motherfucking thing to these New Orleans roaches, okay? It don't mean a thing. So the 2, I have hair jewels, but this thing was just like on my neck a minute ago. And I was just like, But okay, so yeah, so I saw the first 2 in the kitchen. So at that time, I'm thinking, okay, well, if y'all want to take over the kitchen, y'all do that. Y'all do that during after hours when I'm not here at nighttime. You do that. As long as I ain't got to deal with you, you could stay in the kitchen. Because at that point, I hadn't seen them cross kitchen lines, okay? It was until I saw that dead one in my living room, and I was like, oh, they done made some traction. Then I saw another one in my living room that was dead, and I was like, okay. The one that got to me the most before today, the one that got to me the most was the one that I saw. It was early in the morning. And I'm like, it is 8 a.m. It is 8 a.m. And I just so happened to be seeing it as I came out of the restroom. I was just waking up. I went to the restroom. I came out of the restroom. And again, there's like a little foyer entrance area in my apartment. And then to the left is my living room. To the right is the bedroom. There's a door that separates both. But I think the bitch came from the hallway. As I'm coming out of the bathroom, this bitch is crawling on my floor into my bedroom. I didn't sleep for about 4 nights. It was about 4 nights. And I remember being so mentally exhausted because I was staying up at night because I could not sleep. And it was then when I first was like, the first couple of instances were definitely bothersome, but they weren't so bothersome to the point of like, I need to move immediately. They were like, how can we deal with this? What are some solutions I can do to deal with this? I was thinking through it. I was also talking to people who live here and a very solution-oriented person I was dating. So it was just like, okay, we can figure this out, right? They haven't messed with you in your bedroom. Your sleep has not been affected. Like, you'll be cool. When I saw that one coming into my bedroom, I didn't sleep for like 4 nights. I was up all through the night, and then I would finally get some sleep in the morning time, but I was so messed up and just out. I had no rhythm of like, my circadian rhythm was just like shot. It was shot. And that's when I should have known that it was that serious, because honestly, that is so disturbing to my spirit that like, that should have been like, yeah, babe, you can't live like this. You actually cannot live like this. You can't even sleep in this. And then it's like I'm trying to talk myself through the fear, like, you're bigger than this. Like, It's not gonna harm you. I'm like, what's the worst that will happen? It will land on you, and that will be like really terrible, and you'll scream and you'll cry and you'll freak out. But like, it can't kill you. But I'm like going through all of these things, and I'm like trying to talk myself down from the fear, and it's honestly just not good enough. It's honestly just not good enough. And so I lost sleep. I ended up getting better sleep as a flight attendant, sleeping in hotels for the next 2.5 weeks that followed that time, because I was just like sleeping in hotels, and it was just like, it was such a relief. Normally, it's like I have more relief coming home into my bed, into my space, and being like, oh, my cozy home, and just, I just get to sleep in my home. Like, that feeling of getting to sleep in your home, in your bed, babe, I be wanting to come home. But that set of work days, I was so excited to be sleeping in a hotel, because I knew for the most part, like, I would not have that experience. And I slept like a baby. I remember the first hotel night, and I was just sleeping like a baby. It was just like so peaceful, and I woke up like I didn't have one single flinch or moment or thought of like one of these big bitches. So that was that instance. That really messed me up. And so, I left for work, came back, and it's been fine, right? It's been fine. It's honestly been fine until today. Until today. I've been having a beautiful set of days at home. I've been home for, I left for like 2 days the other day, but for the most part, I've been home for like a little over a week. I've been fine. I haven't seen anything, right? I'm laying on my couch. I get home, laying on my couch, still sunny out, still daytime, right? It's like 6 o'clock. Laying on my couch, I'm reading a book on my back, and I'm just like flipping through the pages and just, enjoying a beautiful Sunday. It's Sunday afternoon. I just had a beautiful day. I spent time at the thrift stores. I got a new book today. I had some coffee. I had a cute little acai bowl, like the vibes, right? And so I just come home, and I'm like, I'm just going to have a lazy lounge rest of the evening, and I'm going to read my book. It's a motherfucking, that's a motherfucking roach flying, bro, flying in my living room. And then I see it, I screamed so loud. It's almost like it heard me, saw me. I feel like I need to watch over my fucking shoulder, because honestly, I didn't kill her. I couldn't get to her. I tried. Like, I don't know if I'm going to sleep tonight. And so it's like almost like she heard me, saw me, and then she was flying at me. Bro. Like, on attack. Flying at me. And so I'm like screaming, and I have my book, and I'm like, and she lands on the floor on her back, and then I grab a shoe, and I like throw it at the shoe, and thinking that it's gonna smash her on her back, it flips her over on her stomach, and she crawls up underneath my couch somewhere. And I closed the door. Closed the door. I stood there for a few minutes trying to see if I could see it, but like, I don't know what happened. I don't know where she went. I don't know if she's like she's not underneath the couch, because I didn't see her on the floor. I was like bending down for a few minutes looking, and there was like nothing on the floor. So I'm like, she's either in the wall, like, because my couch is up against the wall. I'm like, she's either in between the couch and the wall. She's either in the couch, or she found a little crack in the wall and then left or did something. But like, either way, the mother. So even with all of this part is actually not even why I'm sad and emotional, because like, this was like very heightened emotions. This is very like, I'm scared as fuck. Like, oh my God. The part that makes me most sad is back to what I was saying, how I was like, I really see me making this place my home for the next few years and being cozy here. I have a history of, and the first 18 years was against my will, because I was a child. But I have a history of moving around a lot. A lot. As a kid, my mom did not have stability, and so shelter being like one of the main things you're supposed to provide, for your family, for your kids, that was one of the things that we did not have during the period of me being like from 11 till about 18. It was like 18 and I was graduating high school. Turned 18 in March, graduated I think in April, May or something like that. And then my mom was kind of like, I don't know what to do with you type shit. And then my aunt was like, well, just come live with me in Atlanta. That prime window from like middle school all through high school was very like, we were vagabonds. We were like, over here, over there, this couch, in the car, at the motel. It was just like all over, and there was just very little stability. And so we always moved around. And so when I think back to my life and just the choices that I've made, obviously, like so many things stem from our childhood. And it's like you have to become conscious of these things. Otherwise, you will continue making choices that mimic the patterns of your childhood or of your scars. And so there's been moments in my life that have like triggered like, oh, you're moving again, and this time it's because of me. It's like I'm in adulthood, and it's feeling very unstable. It's feeling very like you don't have like a grip on your life right now. It feels very like just fly by the wind and just moving again, type of thing. Especially when I went through my divorce, like leaving that marriage, as hard as it was, one of the hardest things, it was very hard to hurt somebody, right? It was very, very hard to hurt another person that way, but then also myself. But it was really hard to be like in this position, knowing that I have to do this for myself. And then realizing that like I'm moving again and leaving the stability that I've had for the last X amount of years to kind of go figure it out again. So with me leaving, it was like just another, like it just, it's like almost every time I move, it's just like a trigger of like, here you go again. So when I moved to Phoenix, I lived there for about 2 years, but I wasn't feeling it. I was just like, Phoenix is not it. I was like, Phoenix is not my place. It's just not my vibe. Like I gave it a chance. It's just not my vibe, right? And it's like, I know that it's okay to know. When you know, right? When you know, it's just like, why spend any more time in a place where like it's not serving you? So I left Phoenix, dealt with the feelings of like, you're leaving again, moved to California just for a little bit. I moved in with my family just to like kind of stack. I was like, I want to save some money and I want to see if I want to live in LA and make that work. And then I made this decision to move to Louisiana, and I was like, okay, I know this doesn't make sense to anybody else. It doesn't make sense to anybody else but me, and that's okay. But I'm moving again, and it was just like, okay, I'm having to deal with, make sure you're processing and doing the shadow work and the emotional work of moving. Because just moving and the amount of movement I've done in my life has just been so much. So when I got here, I was like, I'm making this my home. I was like, this is going to be my home. I'm going to stay here. Like, I'm not going to let anything run me out of this apartment. Like, what hurricane season? Like, let's go. Like, set me up, right? But swear to God, I was willing to deal with the hurricanes. I was willing to deal with all of everything else that comes with Louisiana. What I'm not willing to deal with is these creatures that are invading my personal space and disrupting my nervous system. That's what I'm not willing to deal with. I haven't had to deal with insects since I was a child. I remember one of the first places I remember living at, maybe the second, it was the window between like 5 to 11. That place, I remember there being bugs. Since then, I haven't dealt with this. So I'm not equipped. I'm not built for it. I'm not set up for it. So what makes me sad is that like, I'm like, damn, it's like the bugs are what did it. The bugs are what are running me out of my apartment that I love, that I adore. This place is so cute. And that's the thing too, right? My last place, my place in Phoenix, super modern, new build. Barely anybody had lived in it. I think maybe one person lived in it before me. So it was super, like everything was just new and like untouched, right? Barely. And never dealt with a single bug issue, nothing. But the place was so modern and boring, and it was just like, these apartments that they're putting up, they're just very like standard, boxy. They're all white inside and just same old, yes, upgraded appliances. It was just like, okay, no character. My place has so much character. It has so much love and just the creation of, the windows are stunning. Like the wood, the quality of the wood is amazing. The space that I have, amazing. I have damn near, in total, there's 4, not bedrooms, but 4 separate rooms. Like, this is my yoga space, my meditation space, my art space, where I create, where I come in the morning and I pray, where I do, like my all creative stuff. Then there's my big ass bedroom, and then there's my big ass living room, and then my big. So it just really saddens me because I'm not set up and equipped to fight. I'm so hot. There's no air conditioning in this specific room. I'm not set up to fight New Orleans roaches. I'm not. And I'm willing to have to deal with the feelings I have around moving again for my peace. And it just sucks because some of the feelings that I have are just feelings of like setback, of like ungroundedness, of very just fly in the wind. And I have to work through that. Like, life is to be lived. I've lived a lot of life. One thing I will be able to say is like, God, I have a story. I have such a story. Nothing about my life has been boring. As hard as it's been, as many waves as it's been, it's a story. Like, I've lived here, I've lived there, and clearly I'm not done yet. And I know it sounds like I'm done with New Orleans. I don't know that I am. What I'm leaning towards doing, what more than likely what will happen, is I will put my stuff in storage out here and kind of live this vagabond life a little bit and travel in between my time. I do have a home base in California still. Like, I will always have a home in California because my family lives there. And I definitely have some stuff there. So it's like I can go in and out there. But I think I will leave my stuff in storage and then take the time to continue paying down my debt, because I still have some debt that I need to like really take care of. And travel until I figure it out. I actually saw a TikTok. I'm losing some of my light. But I actually saw a TikTok today, and he was kind of saying how there's certain people like myself. He was talking about me. I know he's talking about himself too, but he was talking about me, who are not on the trajectory of the typical standard like path that society tells you that you're supposed to be on when it comes to like just life, right? Like, you go to college, you get the career, you meet your person, you get married, you have kids, get a white picket fence. Like, there are those of us who are not on that trajectory. We are on a different path, and it's a little bit more like, it's a little bit more flowy. It's a little bit out here, a little bit out there, and you just never know what it's going to look like at any age. And so seeing that video today and then just going through this and getting to that point of like, damn, I'm going to move again. You know, I'm just gonna have to like embrace and accept that like this is the life that I'm creating for myself. And like ultimately I have to decide what I want. I know I don't want traditional, so it's not like I feel like I'm missing out on anything. It's not like I feel like people who do have that standard lifestyle, I definitely don't want their life. I definitely don't want their life. Like it doesn't mean that I don't want community or family or partnership. It doesn't mean any of that stuff. I just don't want the traditional, like nothing about me is traditional. So I don't feel like I'm missing out. I just need to figure out what it is that I'm creating for myself. Like what is the life you are creating? And spend less time in this place of like, well, I know what I don't want. Well, what do you want? Let's get into that. Let's get into what do you want, and then let's create that, and let's start making decisions that look like, okay, this is aligned with what you say you want. Honestly, travel will always be a part of my life. I know that. It's like that's the one part I've got down. I've got that down. I've got the travel part down. I know that travel is a part of my life. Like it's always been a part of my life since I was a kid. Um, so yeah, I was like, okay, I'm doing the travel part, and I'm not done yet. But there's other things that I'm like, yeah, I need to spend more time. More time. And what I told one of my best friends about this whole thing is that this has to be like actually like my decision to get a divorce. That was not an independent decision from my ego. That was not like I just woke up one day and was like, I think I'm gonna, no. That was not what that was. That was a completely spiritual experience that was bigger than just myself. It was bigger than just myself. My spirit, the multiple spirits that surround me, that guide me, it was all inclusive of that decision. And that's how I feel about this. That's how I feel about moving forward. Like when it's time for me to move and like figure this out, it feels like one of those things again where it's like I'm gonna have to call on a higher power, on the ultimate, help me figure this out. Ancestors, angels, guides, alias. I'm gonna need all the guidance, all the help, because I don't want to make this movement from ego. I don't want to make this movement from fear, from survival, none of that. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. I can't believe this is my first YouTube video. I did not plan this. I couldn't have planned this. I don't think I ever would have actually uploaded something unless I was in this space, because being in this space just feels a lot more raw and just like, you know what, this is what's going on with me. I have no fucking shame right now in this moment. Any other time, it's almost like I have too much of my mind involved and I'm just going to overthink the process, overthink what I'm supposed to put out and talk about and all this other stuff. And just like right now, it just feels like the most truest form of myself. And that is the type of content I want to make. So if you like yappity yap ass videos, here we are. Here we are. So yeah, I don't know when the next video will be. I'm not committing to this time schedule or like any type of like none of that. But yeah. I don't know. Guess I'll see you when I see you. Wherever I'll see you.